Hello everybody, and welcome to our weekly coaching calls on April 8th, 2016. So we've got quite a few people on the call already, so I'm going to give it just another minute or two just to give people a chance to get here, and then we're going to start pretty promptly here. So can anybody hear me okay? What's up, dog? Not much, Brian. It's been a long week. I'm glad we're coming to an end. So been a busy week, been a good week. It's been a good week for all of us, I think, based on the emails I've been getting. So good question. So can everybody hear me? Everybody hear me okay? Just someone type in, yep, I can hear you, and then we'll get cracking with this. Yeah, looks like we're good to go. So let's get started with this. So as always, I've got the chat up here, but feel free to email me a question if you've got one. I've got quite a few questions that I've received over the week to get through here. So if I don't answer your question, just send it in chat or email me, or if I don't answer it completely to your satisfaction, then let me know and I'll try and clarify as well. So let's get going to reward the people that are on time. And I've got some questions here, so let's get into it. So the first question is from Brian, and the question is, do you have any suggestions on what to do when people insist on seeing testimonials when you don't have any? So I've kind of talked to Brian about this a little bit through the week, but for the benefit of everybody else that might be in this situation, then yeah, I got a few suggestions. So the first thing I would do is I would go to existing clients. So if they're not in the niche that you're in, it doesn't really matter. Something's better than nothing. Basically what people are looking for is they're looking for just some kind of proof that you're a real person, that you're getting them, that you've got real results for people. So pretty much all of us can get a testimonial from somebody or a couple of testimonials. So the other thing is you don't want to wait for testimonials to come to you. You'll be waiting forever. Very rarely, if ever, do people just voluntarily give testimonials. But if you ask for them, then you tend to get them. I mean, a good example is I had some baby pictures taken this week for my little boy. It was our first pictures, like formal pictures, and she posted the pictures on Facebook, a little sample of them, and said, hey, you know, leave a comment, tell people about your experience that you had today. So I wasn't gonna, it didn't enter my mind really to leave a testimonial, but when she said, hey, leave some comments, and you know, my wife's like, look, let's leave some nice comments, we had a good experience, she was very professional, then we were more than happy to leave a testimonial for her. So asking for them is very helpful. Yeah, the other thing is you just got to do what you got to do to get them, right? So whatever you've got to do to get them. I mean, if you've helped other people in the group, if you're in other forums, you're in other groups, then you've helped people out. It doesn't even have to be a client. It can just be somebody that you've helped out. So, you know, if you guys are helping each other out in the Facebook group, ask each other for a testimonial just to get started. So that's how we'll do that. You got to get creative with it. Obviously, you know, everybody starts from the same starting point of not having any. So you just got to get creative with that one. So next question is Kevin's question, and Kevin's question was, how would you handle this response after you send the second email with social proof? This is before speaking with them. Ideally, I'd like to get them on the phone before speaking price, so I'm interested to see how you would handle this. So he sent me a screenshot here, and obviously it's what is the cost. Also, I would only want New Jersey. So obviously the New Jersey thing is no problem, not a problem at all, right? We can do that. As far as the cost goes, no, I probably wouldn't share that with them. The way I look at it is a prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. So if you was a doctor and you was making prescriptions before actually talking to the patient, you'd be kicked out of the medical profession. It wouldn't be something that you'd be allowed to get away with. So the attitude to have there is prescription without diagnosis is malpractice, and that's kind of what I would say. So the answer to the question is, what is the cost? Well, the cost could be anything from a $25 ebook all the way up to a $50,000 coaching package, right? We just don't know at this point until we actually talk to them what their needs are and you know, the extent of their problems. So how you would handle that, I would just try and get them on the phone. Like you said, Kevin, I would just try and get them on the phone, and I would say, yeah, happy to talk about costs, but obviously I need to get an idea of what it is that you've got going on first and the scope of what's going on. So pretty much I base the cost more or less, or I relate the cost back to the investment that they're looking to get. So I would say something along the lines, if they really want a number, maybe you're looking at approximately 10% of the increased revenue that you want to add to your practice, right? So for example, the way I would handle that, if I'm talking to someone and they say, well, what does it cost? I'd say, well, how much increased revenue are you looking to generate? Are you looking to generate $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 a month? What are you looking to generate? And if they say, well, $50,000 would be good, then I would work back and say, well, typically we're getting our clients somewhere in the region of a 10-to-1 return on investment. So based on the fact that you would be hoping for and looking for a $50,000 return each month, then the cost is going to be somewhere in the range of $5,000. And that's going to include ad spend and management fees and stuff like that. So that's just how I would handle that. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Like I said, I'd just probably send them an email saying, hey, happy to talk about the cost. Let's jump on the phone and we'll have a 5-minute no obligation consultation. So hopefully that answers that question. But yeah, you don't really want to be giving them numbers over the phone, or you don't really want to be giving them numbers over the email. If you can avoid it, that's probably going to not help your cause. So next question from Kevin, do you have any other LinkedIn strategies you can reveal, or strategies you can reveal for LinkedIn? Pretty much no, really. I mean, this is the only strategy that works outside of paid ads. I'm not opposed to paid ads on LinkedIn. I use those from time to time as well, but they're very expensive. They're very difficult to get to work. They're not very intuitive. It takes forever to get them approved, and the tracking's not very good, and it's just full of problems. Their paid ad platform really isn't very good. So every now and again I get curious with it and I try it, and you might make a little bit of money, but no, nothing works like this, really. This is the only strategy that I know works. I know there are people out there that are teaching, like, start a group and invite people into the group and build your expert status, and to me that just sounds like a lot of work. It's not really necessary, seeing as we can get such good results doing it this way. And to be honest, it's pretty much like the Bible says, the path is narrow and few shall find it. The path to success here is very narrow. It's not like there's a ton of different paths that lead to the destination. There really is only one path, I think, and that path is very narrow. So I wouldn't deviate too far from this path at all, really. Like I said, I'll mess around with LinkedIn ads from time to time just because it's leveraged and it doesn't take a huge amount of work, but I certainly wouldn't be looking at doing any kind of strategy that was labor intensive, like running a group or something like that, because to be honest, you're just not going to make any money with it. In my opinion, at least I haven't been able to anyway. I'm just not into all of that stuff, running groups and all of that stuff. That just seems like a lot of work. I'm a direct response marketer, and I suggest that that's what we all should be as well. So we're looking to get a direct response from a prospect. We're not looking to really nurture the prospect for any length of time. We're trying to communicate to them as quickly as possible that we understand they have a problem, we have a solution to that problem, and would you like to have a conversation about that? If it takes any more than that to do that, then it's getting too complicated for me, especially seeing as the volume that we've got available to us through LinkedIn. So hopefully that answers your question there, Kevin. Let me know if it doesn't. Another question from Kevin. I'm quickly seeing how this is going to lead to lots of leads. Would you be able to share how you're using Pipedrive? I just signed up. It seems straightforward, but any insight would be much appreciated. Yeah, definitely happy to do that. Let's leave that to the end of the call because we can spend a little bit of time at the end, and people that there's a fairly in-depth training, I think, in week 3 on Pipedrive where I really go into that, and I know there's quite a few people that have already been through week 3 that are on this call. So if we could keep that at the end of the call, Kevin, we'll go through that so the people that have already been through that training, they don't have to sit through it. They can jump off the call at the end, and I'll run through it very quickly. But like I say, there's a pretty in-depth training on that I think it's in week 3. But yeah, we'll do that at the end. Brian, another question from Brian. So Brian's question is AdWords tech question. When it comes to keyword bidding, Google says many of the main keywords for a campaign we're running are below first page. We adjust them to the price they're given, and within 30 to 60 minutes that price goes up again and we get the message again. Is this other companies using auto bidding to stay on the first page? What do we do about that? Probably is the answer to that question. Probably is the answer. So I mean, a couple of solutions that obviously I'd have to have a look at your campaign, and I know you've asked about that, and definitely we can do that. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But mobile is good. Mobile is considerably cheaper, that people are not really using to or for merch, or at least it's not as congested as desktop ads. The other option is click to call. So I really like click to call campaigns. So basically it's you're paying on a cost per action basis, so you're paying per phone call, not per click. So that can really work as well. The other option is obviously just to outbid the people that are outbidding you, but then you're getting into a bidding war, so we want to avoid that if at all possible. So one thing I'd say about this here, this is where we can all help each other. So there are people on this call that are in the personal injury niche, that have got winning campaigns in the personal injury niche, and they can probably help you with this, and vice versa. So like I'm more than happy to share all the winning campaigns that I've got with everybody here, and give out the targeting and the landing pages and stuff like that. So I would suggest here, like Brian, definitely happy to help you with this, Brian, but if you just maybe post in the Facebook group that you're looking for help with specific campaigns, and there's maybe other people that could help you with that have winning campaigns and that have experience in that, and then in return there's obviously going to be stuff that we can give back as well. So I think if we can foster a community of help and support as opposed to competition and scarcity, we're all going to get a heck of a lot better. Kevin says, I didn't get the Facebook group. I don't think I got an invite. I did send you an invite, Kevin. I don't know. I'll check in that when we get off the call. Let me make a quick note here. So I've made a note, so I'll look into that as soon as I get off the call, Kevin, and if I'll send another invite, or please, yeah, Shane as well. Yeah, I was wondering why you hadn't joined the group, Shane. You were the one that asked for the group, and then you hadn't joined it, so I was wondering if you'd got the invite or not. So again, yeah, I'll send you an invite as well. Brian's saying, day after I turned it on, regardless of Google telling us that ads weren't on first page. Okay, so probably what's going on there, like with most of these campaigns where they're high CPC niches, your ads are not going to show all day long. They're going to show throughout the day. So at any given point, you can check and see if your ads are showing, and they might not be showing, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not showing. And the below first page bid doesn't necessarily mean that they're not showing either. So the only way you can really determine that is looking at your impressions at the end of each day. And obviously your impressions, or not your impressions, your click-through rate is going to be very critical to how many impressions Google give you. So you want to be shooting for at least a 10% click-through rate, I would say, if you want Google to show the ad, because obviously if they're showing your ad and it's got a 5% click-through rate, and somebody else's ad has got a 10% click-through rate, they're going to make more money by showing the other ad. So in these high CPC niches, this is where click-through rates become really, really important. So I'd be split testing ads all the time. I'd always have 2 ads running, and to be honest, in these type of niches where it's very high cost per click, I wouldn't wait for a huge amount of test data to come in before pulling the plug on an ad. So I would be looking at probably maybe as little as 500 impressions of the ad before pulling the plug on it if it didn't have a good click-through rate, because there's going to be a lot of people bidding for this traffic, and the click-through rate is going to be very, very significant in where your ad rank, basically, if Google are going to show your ad or not. So like I say, be running a split test ad all the time, and don't let it run for very long. You don't want to get 4,000 or 5,000 impressions and a 2% click-through rate or a 1% click-through rate, because you're just going to damage the campaign. Your ad rank is going to go down, and Google are just not going to want to show your ads, because they can't make any money off you. So I know you asked, Brian, if I could have a look at that, and simple question to that is yes, I'm happy to take a look at it, but here's the thing, right? I'm in Australia, which is a day ahead of pretty much everybody else, so it's Friday for me, whereas I think it's Thursday for everybody else on this call. So my weekend basically is going to be Friday to Sunday. So Sunday is Monday for me. So your Sunday in the US or Canada is going to be Monday for me, and as a result, Mondays are a very, very quiet day for me, or Sundays in the US are a very, very quiet day for me. I don't have a lot of calls booked on those days. So if you want me to have a look at campaigns and stuff like that, I'm more than happy to do that. But Sunday in the US is a good day for me to do that, just because I haven't got calls booked, and it just gets complicated through the week. Like I lose Friday basically because of the time difference. So I've only really got 3 days where I can conduct calls with the US, if that makes sense. So that's, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for me. So Mondays my schedules tend to be very much lighter. So if you're happy for me to look at it on a Sunday your time, then that works really good, and that makes it just easy, if that makes sense. So if you're willing to do that, more than happy. If you want another day, then it's going to be really difficult for me to look at it, just because I get pretty booked up with calls, and I have back-to-back calls most of the day, most days. So hope that answers your question a little bit. But like I say, post in the Facebook group, Brian, that you need some help with the campaign. So like I said, I know there are people that are operating in this niche that are having some good luck with it, and they might be able to provide you with some more advice than I'm able to, seeing as I'm not running those campaigns currently. And like I say, if I've got dental marketing campaigns and stuff like that, I've got 3 or 4 campaigns, I'm more than happy to share all of the targeting, all of the landing pages, all of that stuff. And like I say, if we can create an environment of help and support as opposed to competition and scarcity, we're all going to make a lot more money at the end of the day. So I can see some questions come in here. Let me see if I can grab them before I move on. So Kevin says, in the USA for personal injury, I would start with $50 max CPC at a minimum, or $50 max CPC at a minimum. And I know Kevin's having some pretty good luck with PI campaigns. So his advice is that you start with a $50 bid, basically. So again, if you like, maybe you guys can help each other out at some point. I think that there's more expertise in the group on this particular topic than I can share with you at this particular time. You can book a time and calendar, whatever works for you. So Brian's saying I can book a time with you on your calendar for whatever time works for you. So yeah, so look, if you're happy to jump on a call on a Sunday your time, Brian, then that's going to be really easy for me, because obviously like I say, Monday is a pretty empty day as far as my schedule goes. So it's kind of an admin day and a kind of a do what needs to be done day, a housekeeping day, right? So if you're happy to jump on a call on a Sunday, which would be a Monday for me, then you're going to get a lot more time, just because I've got it to give. So you can book it if you want to, or you know how it works. Just hit me up on Skype. If you see me on Skype and you're free, just hit me up and we can do it that way. Yeah, so Brian's saying Sunday's fine, and going to reach out to Kevin if that's cool with you, Kevin. Hopefully it is. So cool. I think that answers the questions there. Let's see what other questions we've got here. Yeah, so I've got your request for the Facebook group, Kevin. So I'll sort that out just as soon as we get off the call here. Got a few more questions to go through here first. So got a few questions from Nick. So Nick's question is, since your campaign is proven and tested and you know that you will get your clients' results, why don't you guarantee the ad spend? So the basic answer to that question, Nick, is just because I don't need to. You don't want to go. So the more risk you take on, so you've got this risk reversal thing, right, where if we reverse the risk off the client back onto ourselves, and the more risk we can take off the client, the more and bring onto ourselves, the more appealing that becomes to the client, and the easier it becomes for them to come on board. But remember, we're reversing the risk here, so that if it's undesirable for the client to have that risk, then it's pretty undesirable for us to have that risk too. So I'm looking for really a more equitable split of the risk, right? So what I'll say with a client, if we reverse all of the risk 100% and we guarantee their ad spend, we guarantee their management fee and stuff like that, we're also de-incentivizing them to do any work. it's basically a free punt, right? It's a free lottery ticket. So if somebody says have a free lottery ticket, then you're going to take it. So I guess you're referring to the video, and the point there was I was just kind of making the point of what kind of results an extreme risk reversal would do if you implemented it, to make the point that it would be very, very easy to get clients on board at that point. So you don't really want to be guaranteeing ad spend if you can avoid it, simply because it is risk. I mean, there's no such thing as a guaranteed campaign. I mean, it's 90% guaranteed. We 90% know the results, but at the end of the day, we could do something silly like make a mistake in the targeting or something like that, and we can wake up in the morning and we could have just blown a whole bunch of money, right, just by accident. And that can happen. Or, you know, there are rare occasions where the campaign just doesn't work for whatever reason. It's you know, guaranteed in AdWords or guaranteed in marketing is about 90%, right, 80%, something like that. There's no such thing as 100%. So if I can avoid offering that guarantee, I will. So the basic strategy that I use for the guarantee is I start out with as low as I can possibly go, and then I start stacking guarantees to get them across the line. So if somebody's interested and they say, yeah, look, I can see the value in what you're doing and I'm very interested, but you know, I've got a lot of risk on this deal. You're saying it's $1,500 a month management fee, and then you're asking for another $1,500, $2,000 ad spend. You know, so I'm looking at $3,500, maybe $4,000 to have a go at this. That's a lot of money just to test it out. Then I would give them the lowest guarantee I could give at that point to try and get them to say yes. So I might say, okay, well, I see what you're saying. So what about if we split that risk 50-50? So obviously there's risk on me too, because you've got to turn these inquirers into business, and I don't know if you can do that. I'm assuming you can, but I don't know. And then you've got risk on me that I'm going to deliver what it is that I'm telling you I'm going to deliver. So the risk street is not a one-way street. It goes both ways. So how about we split the risk 50-50? I'll guarantee the management fee, and then the ad spend is yours. So the worst case scenario is we split it 50-50. And I'll just say something like, does that sound reasonable? Is that a reasonable split of the risk if we share it 50-50? And usually that's enough right there. Most people are reasonable people. They don't expect you to take 100% of the risk, and they take absolutely none of the risk. Most people don't expect that. If they do, I probably would run from them, to be honest. So in this situation where we split the risk 50-50, that's usually equitable. So if you have to go further than that, if you have to split the risk more than 50-50, well, there starts to become some other issues that show up at that point. So you start to communicate a certain amount of neediness potentially, and that's going to kill the deal. So if you start to act needy in any way, and if you start to offer too much to get the deal across the line, then that can start to work against you as well. So if you're making deals that seem to be too good to be true, and guaranteeing the ad spend is one of those deals that could make it seem too good to be true, you could actually be having a detrimental effect on what it is that you're doing, right? If that makes sense. So pretty much I never really go beyond the satisfaction guarantee. I really don't need to, and if that's not getting people interested, then they're probably not that interested anyway, right? If I've got to make some extreme guarantee in order to get them across the line, then I'm questioning their involvement in the process anyway. And yeah, to be honest, the price to some extent and the risk to some extent is a qualifier. You know, we want people that are hungry for results, and if they're only willing to take you on if you take on 100% of the risk, then I would have to question how hungry they are for those results. If you can say, look, we'll split the risk 50-50, I'll take half of it, you take half of it, we're having a relationship here, no, it's not a one-way street, then you're dealing with a reasonable person if they go for that. So hopefully that answers the question. Another question from it. We got three or four questions from Nick here. So, do you ever tie your guarantee to metrics such as I guarantee that I will generate at least 20 inquiries, or the management fee will be refunded, or do you always go with satisfaction? Always go with satisfaction. Always. And that's just across the board, right? It's like that's just, if you're not satisfied with my service, then why are we working together, right? So, and again, it's kind of the abundance mentality. It's that there's plenty of clients out there. There's no shortage of clients. There's no shortage of money. There's no shortage of anything really. So when you start tying it in to specific numbers and specific results, then you're getting on shaky ground, because you really can't guarantee those. You really can't. You don't know. I mean, and if somebody said to me, you know, I need you to guarantee 20 inquiries, I'd say, well, I need you to guarantee $5,000 of ad spend. Then are you going to guarantee me $5,000 of ad spend? Because obviously that would guarantee 20 inquiries, right? So people ask me all the time this question. They say, like, I'll talk to a dentist or prospect and they'll say, well, you said that you can guarantee 50 leads. What does that mean, or how do you guarantee that? And I said, well, what I'm actually saying is I can guarantee you any number of leads you want, but that's obviously tied to ad spend. So in order to get 50 leads, that's to guarantee that, that's going to require a certain amount of ad spend. The point that I'm making is I can guarantee your satisfaction. So if you want 20 inquiries, you want 50 inquiries, we can guarantee that number. But at the end of the day, what I'm guaranteeing is your satisfaction. I'm guaranteeing that you will be satisfied with the result. And if you just explain to them and say, hey, look, I can guarantee a number, but you're going to have to guarantee an ad spend, and are you willing to do that? And they'll say no. So now you're back into the negotiation again and say, well, look, I'm willing to guarantee your satisfaction. If for any reason you're unsatisfied at the end of the month, I'll refund your fee. I'll refund your management fee, and we'll end the relationship friends. So that's it, really. I mean, that's the satisfaction guarantee is about as good as it gets, and that's really the guarantee that I would recommend you go with, unless you're just really aggressive. That's if you're really aggressive, you can go with the guarantee and ad spend. But to be honest, if you're saying to somebody, look, at the end of the month, I guarantee you're satisfied. I guarantee you're going to be satisfied with the program. I guarantee you're going to be satisfied with the results. I guarantee you're going to be satisfied with my service. And if you're not, then I'll just give you your money back. No hard feelings. That's a pretty strong guarantee. And again, we're trying to call out reasonable people. We don't want to get just any client on board. You want reasonable people to come on board that are going to appreciate what you're doing, and that there's going to be a reasonable element that they bring to the relationship as well. Nick, if you do pay-per-lead or pay-per-surgery deals, how do you create urgency if you're not willing to waive the setup fee? How do you avoid the let me think about it excuse? So basic answer to that question is you got to understand that let me think about it is a no, right? It's let me think about it is not. Somebody said to me the other day, yeah, you're right, it's a soft no, and I'm like, well, I wouldn't even say that. To me it's pretty much a hard no. Let me think about it means that I have concerns that you haven't addressed, and I'm going to get off this call and I'm going to think those concerns over, and I'm going to realize that this is not something I want to do, is basically what they're saying. So pretty much what I would, if somebody says let me think about it, I would say, well, what do you need to think about it? That's the purpose of this call. That's what we're here for today. So obviously you've still got unanswered questions. So what are those unanswered questions? You know, this is your opportunity to ask me those questions. And then 9 times out of 10, they're gonna go, yeah, well, actually my concern is this, right? So what we're doing here is objection handling. So people are not gonna buy until you've answered all of their objections. And let me think about it means I've got objections still. And if you let them off the call without handling those objections, then the chances of them buying from you are like 10% at best, really. Very, very few people will do it. Because as I said before, what's going to happen after the call? What additional information is going to come to light that they don't have already, right? So that would be the first thing, is when they say let me think about it, you don't let them off the phone at that point. And they say, well, what exactly do you need to think about? Obviously you've still got some concerns. What are those concerns, and how can I help you address those? And you just keep going and going and going until there are no concerns left. And then the goal is to get a yes or a no, right? So get a yes or a no on the call. So 95% of calls, if you allow them, will end not in a no, but they won't end in a yes either. They're going to end in a let me think about it, or a maybe, or sounds good, I'll get back to you. They're not going to end in a no, but they're not going to end in a yes. So pretty much at that point, if you handle all of the objections and they're still not going for it, they're still saying, well, I need to think about it, at that point I probably would just say, well, hey, look, I'm going to be honest, it's like I don't really know what there is to think about here. I'm offering you a pay-per-lead deal. I don't know anybody else that's going to offer you, and I'll just be straight up honest with you, this is a one-time offer. If you don't want it, then you know, this is a one-time deal. This is going to this is going to go away at the end of the call. And to be honest, I had that situation yesterday. I was on a call with a guy and he came back and just a pain, really, to be honest. And at the end of the call, I said it's $1,500 a month. Made him a guarantee. I said, look, if you make a decision today, here's what I'll do. I'll guarantee whatever. And he goes, look, I'm definitely interested, but let me go away and think about it, and I'll come back and let you know. And I just said, no, this is a one-time offer. This is not going to be available tomorrow. You've got to make a decision right now, because I know if he gets off the call, he's not going to come back, right? So it's like, I'd rather have a no right now than have a no tomorrow. And he goes, well, I can't make a call on this right now. I just can't make a decision right now. So I'm like, well, okay, that's fine. I understand, but this is not going to be available tomorrow. And he goes, well, I understand too. So he's basically saying no, right? If you can't get them across the line like that, then it's basically a no. Don't hang on to it. Don't cling to the deal. You're making him a great deal. If you're offering the guy a pay-per lead or a pay-per-surgery deal, and you're reversing a lot of his risk, and you know you're going to get him the result, or there's a very good chance you're going to get him the result, then don't cling to that deal. If he doesn't want it, let it go. If he can't see that a pay-per-lead deal is a great deal, then just let it go. Move on. Again, scarcity and abundance mentality. It's like, the only reason you would cling to it is if you're still somewhat in the scarcity mentality and you're afraid that you can't generate more leads or you can't generate more clients, right? If you're in a place where you know that there's an abundance of clients available to you, and you know that he actually needs you more than you need him, then that's a great position to be in, and you just don't need to worry about, if he says no, that's fine, let it be a no. He's clearly not sold on the value, and if he's not going to move forward on a pay-per-lead basis or a pay-per-surgery basis, then this is not somebody you want to deal with anyway, right? So let's see, I think there's another question from Nick. Yep. I'm interested in trying out Google Display Network to generate leads for my clients. Are there any resources you can recommend to get an edge, or do you just recommend jump in and try it? Yeah, look, I always recommend jump in and try it. That's the only way to do it. But there are some good resources out there. There's one that I've used myself, which is Web Savvy. It's Mike Rhodes. He does a lot of stuff with Perry Marshall. So all of his courses that he does, he posts them, or all he does with Perry Marshall, he posts them in his forum here like 2 or 3 months after Perry Marshall releases them. So I've got a whole bunch of courses here where $69 a month to get a membership to this forum, and $2,000 courses are being posted in there all the time. So I've got a ton of good information from this guy, and this guy is really is the man when it comes to AdWords. He's probably one of the the top, if not the top expert in the world when it comes to teaching AdWords. This guy knows his stuff inside and out, and he's a big proponent of the display network. And you've got access to Mike within the forum as well, so you can ask him questions. And again, for a lot of people on this call, this is going to be a great forum, just because there's a lot of people that are in the PI niche and the more competitive niches. And again, it's a great resource to come into contact with people that are actually succeeding in that niche and running successful campaigns in that niche. And yeah, this is an absolute bargain for $69 a month. I was a member of, I don't think I'm a member at this particular time, so I joined these forums, and then I'm in them for like a year or something, and then I've kind of exhausted them, and then I leave, and then I come back a little bit later. So I don't think I'm actually in this at this point in time. But this is a fantastic one right here. So websavvy.com.au, and it's just AdWords training. So for anybody looking for some AdWords training, this is, yeah, it doesn't get much better than this really. This guy is really top notch for sure. So let's close that. Yeah, and then the other thing, of course, Nick, is you got to jump in and get your feet dirty, right? You got to get your feet wet. It's that's the only way to learn. Spend a little bit of money. That's it really. Yeah, jump in, try it out. So yeah, so that was the tip I was going to say here. I was going to share was Sundays, which USA time, they're a good day if you want tech support, stuff like that. So like I said, we already said it, but the weekdays in the US are a little bit harder for me to do stuff like listen to phone calls, look into AdWords campaigns, review landing pages, stuff like that. I'm more than happy to help you guys out with that, but the week is just too hectic to do that. My schedule just doesn't allow it. So if you're happy to jump on a call on a Sunday USA time, then like I say, that's a much slower day for me, and more than happy to help you out as much as I possibly can. So I'm having a few issues with my chat here for some reason. I don't know why, but if anyone's asked a question that I haven't answered yet, I'm not seeing any questions in my chat currently. I've just got an email from Nick. It says perfect, thanks so much. Yeah, thing is, Nick, just don't get hung up on this stuff. It's like my favorite word in the English language is next, right? So just next. Are you interested or are you not interested? Yes or no? So a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll tell you that they want to move forward, they're ready to move forward, they're going to move forward, and then the very next step they take is to the left or to the right. So when somebody says, yep, it sounds great, I think what you're doing is great, I love the fact that you're offering pay-per-lead, I like that, I like the fact that you're willing to take some of the risk on yourself, that sounds brilliant, we need the business, sounds great, we're definitely going to do something with this, but I just need to think about it, right? So the guy is basically saying, I'm 100% committed to moving forward, and then the first action he takes is to the left or to the right. So this is a confused person, somebody that says, I'm willing, I really want to move forward, and then their first step is to the side. There's no clarity in that person, there's no clarity in that person's mind, and a confused mind is going to produce a confused result, and that's not a client that you want. Like for me, I like clients that are very clear on the outcome that they want. So if somebody has a very strong desire to increase an aspect of their business, like dental implants for me, or whatever it is, whatever it is for you, if someone has a very strong desire and they see that you can help them with that desire, and then you get on the phone call and they think, they can see that you're a legitimate guy and you've got a good chance at getting them the results, the ideal client for me will see that I can help him move forward, and he will move forward as well. There'll be an alignment of clarity. So my message is very clear what I can do. If they're not willing to move forward immediately, it's because they're not very clear on what they want, or they're not very clear on what they're willing to do to get it, right? So when that level of confusion exists within a client, and that confusion is that they say, I'm going to move forward from point A to B in the straightest line possible, and then their first step is to the left or the right, like I say, that's a confused mind. And firstly, a confused mind isn't going to make a decision. Secondly, a confused mind definitely isn't going to spend money. And that's what you're seeing, right? You're seeing that they're not willing to make a decision, they're not willing to spend money. And the third thing is, a confused mind is not going to get the result. So these guys are not good prospects for you anyway, because they're just not in a place to move forward. Ideally, I want somebody that's psychologically ready to move forward, that everything's in place to move forward, they're psychologically ready to move forward, they have the clarity and the commitment to move forward, and they're just lacking some knowledge, they're just lacking a piece of the puzzle, and that's what you bring to the table. So we're not just looking for people that are willing to pay, we're looking for people that have clarity and focus, and that clarity and focus is what's going to make them a great client. So we want to use the price to some extent as to exclude people from the offer. Could we come down on our price, because there's not a huge amount of cost involved in the delivery of these products, right? Could we come down on our price? We could. Technically we could and still make money, right? But the problem with that, A, is you're discounting your value. So when you say to a client, this is the amount of value that I can deliver to you, and then the first sign that they're not going to buy, you discount that value down to a lower price. So whatever price you're willing to settle for is actually what you believe your value to be worth, right? So I had a guy yesterday again say, oh look, I'll give you, he wanted to come on this training, and he said, I'll give you $1,000. I'm not paying the price that you've asked for, I'll give you $1,000. And I said, I can't do that, I'm not willing to discount my value to that level, I'm just not willing to do that. And he goes, well, what difference does it make to you? You've just got to give me access to the course. There's no one-to-one with it or anything like that. It's just a free $1,000 for you, right? A free grand. But the point is, you do something inside of yourself when you go for that, right? You're basically saying, my value is that I place a value on my value of $1,000, and then that makes it very difficult for you to ask for the higher fees with more qualified prospects who are happy to pay, because there's an incongruency inside of you. You've discounted your value to where you no longer believe that the higher fee that you're asking for, you no longer believe that your program is worth that. You no longer believe that your product is worth that. How could you possibly believe that your product is worth $5,000, $10,000, whatever, when you've discounted it down to 1,000 or you've discounted it down to 500? That it creates an internal incongruency that's just going to kill you. It's a business killer, right? It's going to kill your business. So people that just don't see the value and they just want to make it really, really difficult for you, then just get rid of them. Just get them out of your funnel, just get them out of your life. There's a ton of people out there that are going to really see your value. They're going to appreciate your value. They're going to be able to pay for your value, and you're going to be able to deliver that value back to them, right? And that's where you start to build a solid business, because you've got clients that need help. You're able to give that help, and it's an honest relationship. They're honest with you and you're honest with them, and it's a beautiful thing. So a little bit more information on that there. So let's have a look here. I don't see any more questions. If I'm missing them, and I could be missing them, let's have a look here. Yeah, I'm back online here. The questions are back up. So let's see. Kevin wins, yeah. Cool. So question from Kevin here. Do you use any shock and awe packages to help land clients? So could you clarify that a little bit, Kevin? I'm not entirely sure exactly what you're asking there. So do you use any shock and awe packages? So like, go ahead and clarify that for me if you can, and I'll try and answer maybe what I think you're asking. So what I use is every call pretty much has to end in a yes or a no, right? So clarity is a beautiful thing, and it's like what's gonna move our business forward is clarity. What's gonna move our clients' business forward is clarity as well. So they need clarity in their own business, and we need clarity in our business. We need clarity on what we can do for them, and they need clarity on what it is that they need doing for them. So when that clarity is present in both people, in both parties, then we're now looking at potentially a very successful relationship, right? So and I'm just laying the foundation for getting a decision on the call here. If somebody is not willing to make the decision on the call, then there's a lack of clarity inside of that person, right? So they're either not clear on the value that you're offering, or they're not clear on what it is that they want, or you know, it's going to be one of those two things, right? So if they're clear on what you're offering and it helps them, and they're clear on what they want, then there's no reason for them not to move forward. The reason that they would say maybe, or I'll think about it, or I'll come back, is because there's a lack of clarity somewhere, right? They're not clear that you can help them, or they're not clear on what it is that they want. Either way, it's a bad situation, and they're not going to move forward at a later date. So that's where you've got to understand what people are saying on these calls. When they say I need to think about it, they're not saying I need to think about it. They're simply not going to think about it. That's a no, I'm not interested, right? So when you understand that when they say I'm not interested, or sorry, when they say I need to think about it, what they're actually saying is there's a lack of clarity surrounding this agreement. There's a lack of clarity surrounding what we're talking about here. Then you can address the problem. Then you understand that this is an issue of clarity. It's not an issue that they need time. It's not a time issue. So that as I said before, that's where you ask them the question, what exactly is it that you need to think about? Get that out of them, and they say they're going to tell you more often than not. They're going to say, well, I need to think about. Here's a good example, right? I talked to a guy this week, same thing, same situation. He said, I'm really very interested, and I think I can see that this is a great program, and I can see that you can get me the results, but I need to think about it, right? So that's massively problematic language to me. I can see that I have a problem. I can see that you have a solution to that problem. I believe what you're telling me. I can see that this is legitimate. I like talking to you. I like your openness, is what he said, but I need to think about it. So what do you need to think about, sir? You know, if I let that guy jump off the phone at that point, I've just lost somebody that has a problem I can solve, that we have a viable relationship. He has the finances available to him, and at the end of the day, he can get the result that he's looking for, and I can get the result he's looking for. So if I let him off the phone, he's going away and he's not coming back, right? So at this point, I've got to ask myself the question, well, if everything is in place that he needs to move forward, why is he not moving forward, right? That's what I need to uncover. So if I ask him, well, what do you need to think about, you know, whatever your name is, what is it exactly that you need to think about? Then he came back and said, well, I'm going on vacation next week, and you're telling me it's a 6-week program and I get 6 weeks of calls or whatever it is, so I'm going to miss a couple of those weeks, and I need to think about if I'm willing to miss those calls. And now you know, this is why he's not wanting to move forward, but this is just super easy, right? This is super easy to fix. I just say, well, okay, well, what do we need to do to make that work for you? Do we need to give you 2 more weeks of calls? Do we need to delay the start 2 weeks? You tell me what we need to do to make that work. Then very simple solution is arrived at, and it's like, okay, so what, are you ready to move forward with this? Yeah, I think I'm ready to move forward now. So there's no way he would have, if I'd have let him off the call, and if you let them off the call without that decision, then he would have had to decided if it was worth him losing 2 weeks of phone calls for the investment, right? So I'm going to get 2 weeks less of phone calls for the amount of money that I'm spending. Do I want to do that? And the answer to that is probably no, right? That would be the only conclusion he could arrive at. He's got no other information to go on. So by asking the question, well, what do you need to think about? You resolve that issue, and then you're back to a yes or no. So is this something you would like to do? Well, I'd like to talk it over with my wife. Well, what would you like? What exactly would you like to talk to your wife about? You know, you got to ask these questions. If you let them off the call without a yes or no, then it's basically shame on you, pretty much. You know, you're not serving your client at a very high level, and that's the way I look at it. You know, if somebody has a problem that I can solve that problem, and they clearly have a need for that problem to be solved, and I know that I'm the right guy to do that, and I let them off that call without a yes or a no, then I've just done that guy a disservice, or I've just done that girl a disservice, right? I've let them off the call knowing that they're probably not going to come back, and I know that they're probably not going to get their problem fixed. They're probably not going to get their problem solved. So you always want to be getting a yes or no on the call. Let's have a look. So Kevin's clarified here, like a package of info, shock and awe, and before you speak with them, sending collateral such as testimonials, CDs, articles, books, etc. Yeah, you know, I've experimented with that, and it can work. You don't, again, it's like you don't, there's a fine line between creating value and being needy, right? So if you send them too much, then you're going to come across as trying too hard, and then you're going to kill yourself, right? You've just killed your opportunity. So whoever cares less about the relationship is in control of the relationship, and this is a whole big issue, that a whole big kettle of fish that we need to open up really and talk about, especially when it comes to the sales training. So the level of success that you have is going to be directly proportional to the detachment that you have from your level of success, right? If that makes sense. As soon as you become attached to the outcome, then you've lost. You're gonna lose, right? And that again, we can bring this back down to the yes or no on the call. The only reason you wouldn't get a yes or a no on the call is because you're attached to the outcome and you're afraid it's going to force a no. And most of the time it is going to force a no, but you know what? If you're not hearing no's, you're not hearing yeses either, right? Like I said, 95% of calls will not end in a no, but they will not end in a yes either. And you're just going to be in a quagmire of maybes, that you're just going to think that you've got a ton of business coming in and it's never going to turn into business, right? So in order to hear yeses, you've got to hear no's. And in order to be able to control the situation and to control the consultation to where it ends in a yes or no, you've got to be detached from the outcome. You've got to be detached from the fact that they're probably going to say no if you push the issue. So with Nick, with your situation, when they need to think about it and you're not willing to come down on the retainer, then if you say, well, look, this is what this call is about, is to get your questions answered. So what are your questions? Well, I haven't got any questions. Okay, well, I need a decision from you. This is a yes or no situation. This is a one-time offer. You know, I would say, quite frankly, I'm offering you more than I'm comfortable with here, and I'm not going to offer this again tomorrow. I've offered it to you at this point, so if you don't want to take it, then the offer's going to be taken off the table as soon as you say no. And you know what, chances are they're going to say, well, if that's how you feel about it, then I can't say yes right now, and the answer is going to be no. But you know what, the answer tomorrow is going to be no as well. The answer the next day was going to be no. There was nothing you could do to that person or for that person that was going to turn it into a yes. But when you approach it that way, 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 9 or 1 out of 8 or whatever will say yes, because you force them into a position where they have to decide. If you say, look, this is a deal that, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not comfortable with, and it's a little bit more than I would like to offer, and if you say no, that's fine, the deal's off the table, or if you want to think about it, the deal's off the table, then you're putting that person in a position where they have to decide, right? Do I want this, yes or no? You've got to get them to make a decision. And it's like, again, this is getting back to the clarity in the mind of the prospect. If they're unable to make a decision, then there's no clarity in that person's mind, and you're not going to get them the results anyway, right? So it just doesn't work to let them say maybe, right? So to answer Kevin's question there, to bring it back to that, is, like I was saying, the only way you can do that is to have a complete detachment from the outcome of the result. So if you're sending them way too much stuff, CDs, articles, books, it's like, I mean, this is like the guy that chases the girl around the playground. Never going to happen, man. It's never going to, you see, you know, guy brings her a coffee, brings her cake, brings her whatever, you know, promises the girl the world, and probably is the best option for that girl, but who does she go with? She goes with the guy that treats her like crap, right? Every time, because that's just the way it is. It's like the guy that treats her like crap is completely detached from the outcome. He doesn't care if she stays, he doesn't care if she goes, and that is attractive to the female. And the same applies in business, right? It's like, it doesn't matter to me. You can buy it or you can not buy it. You can take it or you can leave it, you know. And that's the great thing about what we're doing here, is once we know that we can generate leads at will and in quantity, we don't need to care, right? I mean, I say all the time, like, this is my favorite phrase on a sales call. I say, look, I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. It doesn't matter if you buy this or not. To me, I've got 3 more calls today. Somebody's buying this today, one way or another. Somebody's buying this today. So is it you? Is it the next person? Is it the 4th person? Doesn't really matter to me. All I know is somebody's buying this today. So is that, my question to you, is that going to be you, or is it going to be somebody else? And if they say, well, if you know, I guess it's going to be somebody else, and I say, well, thank you. I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your clarity, and we've got an hour and a half scheduled for this call. We're at an hour, so if there's anything I can do to help you at this point, let me know. You know, it's not like just because he said no, we've got to get him off the phone. It's like, we'll try and help the guy, you know. It's about service and servitude. The more we can help people get what they want, the more we're going to have what we want ultimately. And if we can kind of come at it from that place of, well, I'm going to help this guy anyway, it doesn't matter that he's not going to buy from me, then it's not what we're doing for him, it's what we're doing for ourselves. It's not what we're giving to him at that point, it's what we're giving to ourselves. You know, because ultimately, for us to make money, we've got to care more about our clients' results than we care about their results, right? If we can get to that point to where we care more about getting them the result regardless of the financial gain or loss to us, then the money for us is just going to follow very shortly behind that. It's going to be very close behind that. So by getting somebody to say no and then trying to give them something that's going to help them anyway, and help them make money and help them get to the next level anyway, that's about what it's doing for us. That's about what it's doing for our psychology and our mentality, right? So I'm beating around the bush, Kevin. Sorry, let me answer your question very precisely as we're talking about clarity and focus here. So generally, no, I wouldn't. I'd send them a couple, maybe an article, maybe 2 articles, possibly, just to let them know that we are the expert, and to try and validate the value of our service, right? So there's a paper in the the portal in the members area called, I think it's dental white paper, something like that. And the purpose of that really is to show them that our service, that the revenue that we bring to their business is not like the revenue that they're bringing to their own business. So we're bringing found money. So we talk about spare capacity in their business, right? So the 20% of spare capacity in their business is probably at 100% profit. The 80% of business that they're bringing into their business that isn't spare capacity is probably 5% profit for the average business. So because they've got all their overhead, right? They've got their rent, they've got their equipment leases, they've got their staff, they've got their insurances, they've got their cost of sales and all that stuff. So out of all the business they're getting, they might only be getting 5% bottom line profit on that. But if we come in and we can increase, if we can utilize their spare capacity to where the overheads are not included in that bottom line profit because it's already been paid for, the staff have already been paid for, they're there for 8 hours a day regardless of if they're working 6 hours a day or 8 hours, right? You're paying them for 8 hours. So if we can show them that if we can utilize the 20% spare capacity within their business, then that could actually double the profit or triple the profit on a monthly basis within their business. So even though you're adding only maybe 10 to 20% to their top line sales, you're adding 200 to 300% to their bottom line profit. And this is about how you charge more money, right? How you get higher fees. If we can show them that you know, the 10% that we're adding is actually producing 300% to their bottom line, and it's tripling their business on a monthly basis, then the fee that we can charge for that becomes considerably greater, because they're just not thinking this way, right? They're thinking that if you add 10% to their business, then that's going to be 95% cost like the rest of their business. So they're actually only making 5% profit, and it's only on 10% additional revenue. So that means they're not actually making very much money, right? And that means that they're not going to pay you very much money, but that's not the case at all. They're making a disproportionate amount of money off what you're doing compared to what they're doing, and it's all about utilizing that spare capacity within their business that they're paying for anyway. So, you know, I would look at it like I would tell a business owner, I say, if you've got 20% spare capacity, you're losing about $60,000 a month is what it's costing you. Or you know, that's just a random number. I'd say that's costing you about $60,000 a month. That's what you're losing every month, because you could be adding $60,000 to your business at no additional cost to you, because your building's paid for, your equipment's leased, whatever. You could be adding an additional $60,000 at absolutely no additional cost to you, and you're not. So to me, that's a loss. You're losing $60,000 a month. Your business is losing $60,000 a month because it's not running efficiently. So as you can see, that's kind of a long-winded way. So we want to put that in a piece of collateral that A, makes them realize that that's correct, I'm losing money actually each month, and the 10% or the 20% that you could provide would be disproportionately profitable to the money that I'm generating. And secondly, we want them to, you know, start thinking in terms of excess capacity, stuff like that, so we can start to raise our fees. Well, I guess thirdly as well, that's kind of, if we're the one that shows them that, then we start to be the expert, right? If we can give them an aha moment, then they're going to look at us as somebody who can really help them, and that's where the expert positioning comes in. And if they can read something like that, or they can see something like that that really changes the way they see their business and really shifts and refines their thought process of how they manage their business, then they're going to be happy to look at us as not just a PPC manager, but as a consultant to their business. And that's ultimately where we want to be, right? Because as long as we're PPC managers, we're contractors, we're disposable. We're the last ones to get paid, we're the first ones to go, right? Any issue within the business where cash flow is tight, we're the first ones to go. We're disposable, we're dispensable as PPC managers. As advisors and consultants to their business, then we want to foster a relationship of a partnership, not as a service provider and an employer, basically. So I do sometimes send out the extra collateral, testimonials, definitely. CDs, articles, books, no, probably not. You're kind of chasing the girl around the playground too much at this point. So I'll send some stuff out and say, hey, before I call, just have a quick look at this, so we're on the same page when we get on the call. And that's where the dental white paper comes in. You could you know, you can change that for legal very easy. Just go through, change dental to legal. It's exactly the same concept. And then, like I say, just position it like that. Have a quick look at this if you don't mind before I call. That way we're going to be on the same page, right? So that's what I would do there. Let me know if that answers your question. Yeah, Brian says I've made 20 grand in maybes in the last 3 weeks. It's not a yes or a no on the call. It's painful false hope. Exactly. So this is where, like, obviously just saying I need a yes or a no from you, you're going to force no's where there would be yeses by doing it that way, right? So this is why we want some kind of limitation. We want to tie something of value to a decision. So a fast action bonus, basically. We want to add a fast action bonus. And typically with dentists, I'll offer them to get rid of the setup fee. So just as an example, they say, well, how much is this going to cost? And I say, well, we've got the monthly retainer on that's going to be $1,500 plus your ad spend, and then there's a $2,500 setup, one-time setup fee to get all the accounts set up, to get the host in, to get the pages built, all that kind of stuff. So $1,500 a month plus ad spend plus a one-time setup fee of $2,500. But here's what I'll do for you, Brian. I've got a couple of free days this week, so if you was to go ahead and make a decision today and process the first invoice today, I'll go ahead and I'll waive that $2,500 setup fee, just simply because I've got a few free days this week, and I can take advantage of that, and you can have the financial advantage of that. So if you want to go ahead today and you'd be willing to process the invoice today, then we can get you up and running for just a one-time payment or a one-time setup payment of $1,500, not $4,000, and we'll go from there. But obviously, if you don't want to make that decision today, then the $2,500 setup fee would be applicable next week. It's going to be much harder for me to set this up, so I would need to charge that fee next week. So if they're serious, right, they're going to want to, they're going to want to go ahead and take advantage of the $2,500 off. B, you're giving them a reason to process that invoice immediately. So it's not reasonable for them to, it's not expect you to start working without payment, right? At least some kind of payment anyway. So you're taking care of two things there. Yeah, giving them a reason, or you're giving them a reason to ask for payment of the invoice today, and you're forcing a decision. So, like, quite often, I mean, I had a guy this week, and he said, yeah, look, this is definitely something I want to do, but it's just not, I'm just not going to process the invoice today. I just can't do that today. So we'll go ahead and we'll do this, and we'll probably look at starting in about 30 days, and I'm all right with the $2,500 setup fee. That's not a problem. Well, guess what? He's just told me. Just told me he's not going to do it, right? That's a no. If you were serious about going ahead and doing it, then why would you not want to save the $2,500, right? So somebody that says that is just a flat out no, basically. The only exception to that rule is if they say, well, I want to do that, and I'm willing to say yes, but we process invoices on the 1st of the month and it's the 15th of the month, so there's no way we could really do that right now, then I'd ask for a deposit. So I'd say, okay, I understand that, but obviously, like, I'm going to have to go ahead and do some work here without any upfront payment. Would you be willing to make a small refundable deposit of $100 just to show me that you're serious? So the difference between just start working for free and I'll pay you when I feel like it, and yes, I'm willing to put down $100 deposit just to show you that I'm serious until we meet our accounting requirements of processing the invoice on the 1st of the month. That's legitimate. You know, I had a couple of guys this week that put down deposit, right? So it took them from a no to a yes. They said, the first one said, well, look, I really want to do this. I'm very keen to go ahead, but I'm just simply not in a position to pay you today. And if you're telling me that I have to process the invoice today, then I simply can't go ahead. So I'm going to have to say no, and then offer them the option of $100 deposit, right? And say, okay, well, that's fine. There is a fast action bonus here. So if you wanted to secure that $2,500 as a sign of goodwill on my behalf, I would be willing to waive that fee $400 deposit, assuming that you're willing to be a little bit flexible next month once we start, to get that campaign implemented. Because obviously you can't tell them that it's going to take a few days to implement the campaign and then waive it to some point in the future and then just give it back to them again, right? If that makes sense, you've got to justify why you've done that. So, and he went ahead and gave me the $100 and said, look, I definitely want to do this. I definitely want to save the $2,500. I just can't pay you today, but I'm more than happy to give you the $100. So he gave me the $100, and then I had another one that was a very similar situation as well. So is that guaranteed to turn into business? No, it isn't. It's not guaranteed, but if they're not willing to put down even $100, then the answer is just simply no, right? The answer is simply no. They're not interested. And anybody that says, well, I'm happy to pay the setup fee at a later date, the answers are no. And as you say, Brian, it's like you get a lot of people, like you will get more no's, you will definitely get more no's, but you'll get more yeses as well, right? So there's going to be a couple of people that go away and say, or that say that they're genuinely interested, right? And they say, well, I'll go away and I'll think about it, when they're actually ready to move forward on the call. But if you allow somebody to delay payment, they're going to delay it, simple as, right? That anybody is going to. If you say, well, you can pay me the $3,000 another day, you don't have to pay me today, then they're going to do that. So there will be a few people that will say, I want to go away and think about it, and by forcing them to make a decision on the call, then they're going to go ahead and they're going to move forward. So out of your $20,000 in maybes, you probably had $5,000 in cash in the bank revenue in there. And like I say, all comes down to detachment. It's a yes or a no. Either one is fine with me, Brian. If you want to move forward with this, that's great. If you don't want to move forward, that's great as well. It's about what's right for you, not just about what's right for me. And if you can't see that this is right for you at this point in time, or if I've not demonstrated that my solution is of sufficient value for you to make a decision, then that's fine. It's just part company. It's just not a problem at all. There's no hard feelings. I told you it was going to be no pressure, no stress. We'll be friends at the end, so we're still friends, right? Not a big deal. Off you go, run away. And now you know where you stand, right? You know that guy's not coming back. You know that that's not your money. But conversely, on the flip side of that, some people will say, well, look, you know what, let's do this. Let's go ahead. And by virtue of the fact that you're getting them to make a decision, you're seeing some clarity, you're providing some clarity and focus in their mind, right, which is going to get you better results. And you're helping them along as well, because now they're not focused on the pain of the decision, now they're focused on the benefit of the outcome. So in a situation, and everybody on this call has been in this situation to get on this call, right, where there comes a point where up to a point you're focused on the cost of moving forward, and then as soon as you make that decision and you move forward, then that fear goes away and you can start to move into the benefit of actually moving into the reality that you're looking for. And the sooner you can get somebody focused on the outcome that they want and get their mind off the outcome that they don't want, the better service you've done for them, right? So if you can move them through that payment process and getting them to say yes process relatively easy, and even if you've got to have some strong hands to do it, you're really serving your client at a much higher level. Because like I say, where attention goes, energy flows, right? And if their energy of their focus is on risk and potential loss and how this could go wrong and how they're not going to get the result, if that's where their focus is, then that's the result that they're going to manifest in their business. That's the result that they're going to produce. And the more they focus on that, the closer they get to a no, and then they say no, and then now they're just stuck in this mess that they're in. They have no way to get out of it, and they've just basically created they've just manifested their own negative reality. Whereas if you can get them through that decision quickly and as painlessly as possible, and the way we do this is with strong hands, and we use these techniques we're talking about, then as soon as we get them on the other side, now they're looking at the benefit, now they're looking at the result, now they're looking at what they need to do to move forward, right? Now their thinking has shifted from being unproductive and negative and in a fear and untrusting and scarcity place to now you've shifted them into hope and positivity and faith and positive outcome and action that needs to be taken. So by getting them through that process rapidly and efficiently and using strong hands to do it. This is how we serve our clients at a substantially higher level. So there's nothing seedy about this. There's nothing manipulative about this. This is how we serve our clients at a higher level, and this is how we bring our value to the marketplace at a much, much higher level. And this stuff's counterintuitive, right? I mean, it's like, I talk to a lot of people about this stuff, and they think it's manipulative, and I'm just like, you're just in the wrong place. Let me tell you where you are right now. You're broke. You've got no money. Because if you're looking at what truly is serving your client at a higher level, or serving a prospect at a higher level, even the highest level, as being manipulative, then by default you're serving your clients at a much, much lower level, and the level of income that you produce is direct proportion to the level of service that you provide, right? So if you're not prepared to do what needs to be done to get your clients to function at a higher level and to serve them at a higher level, then you're going to be paid at a much, much lower level. So anybody that tells you this kind of stuff is manipulative, well, one, they haven't got very much money, and two, they don't really understand what it is that actually serves their prospects and their clients at the highest possible level. So that's kind of my take on it. Anyway, as everything I say and do, don't believe anything I say. Verify it for yourself, and come up with your own philosophies and theories and everything else. So, but that's how I look at it, and it works very well. And once we get through the actual process of getting them to say yes and entering into the relationship, then really it's to be honest, I have a wonderful business and I have wonderful clients, and I enjoy all of my clients, and I consider all of my clients friends. I don't have any negative relationships within the business at all. So it works really well, and there's just no downside. There's just no side effects to it all. So that's how I would look at that. That was a long answer to your question, Kevin. Long answer to your question, but I'm not seeing any more questions here. So I know, Kevin, you wanted to jump on and look at Pipedrive very quickly. We can do that. So if nobody else has any more questions, then obviously we'll end the call at this point for everybody else. We'll stay on and spend just a few minutes and look at Pipedrive for Kevin's benefit. But if there's no more questions, then thank you for your time, everybody. I hope this has been of benefit to you, and look forward to seeing you all at the same time, same place next week. So thank you very much. I appreciate taking the time to show up. It means a lot that you've given this amount of time to what we're doing here. So good work, everybody. Proud of every one of you. I know a lot of you are getting great results. I'm getting great reports coming in all over the place from a lot of people. So keep up the good work, and we'll talk to you same time, same place next week. So for Kevin, let's have a quick look at Pipedrive. So here it is. So it's really very, very simple, right? So pretty much here are my columns, right? So I've got quick question, follow-up 1, final follow-up, email explanation, follow-up 2, engaged, phone call 1, lost, right? So quick question, they basically go in this column, very self-explanatory. When the quick question is sent, this is when I will put them in this column. So all you do is just add new deal, put their name, yada, 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 and that's it pretty much. I don't put any more details than their name, really. That's all I do. I just want to keep track of it. So then they'll stay here until either they ask for an explanation, right? So they'll say, sounds good, send me more information, at which point they'll come over here to explanation emailed or explanation sent, right? So now I know that this person here has received the email. So for every stage that we move them to, so the basic stages are really quick question, explanation, engage. These are the 3 main stages of the process. So every stage has its own follow-up, right? So if they've not responded to quick question, the quick question that we send out, then I'll send them the follow-up, and I'll move them over into this column just so I know that this person has been sent the follow-up. So now I know. So at this point, say 3 days goes by, right, and they say, yeah, okay, I got your email, thank you very much, I'm interested. If this person wants an explanation, I would now move them over here to the explanation column, and if I didn't hear back from them after they were sent the explanation, then we go into the follow-up process again. So if we follow up and they say they want a phone call, then we get them on the phone call. Like engaged basically is I'm on the phone with them, or that they've responded to the explanation and they're engaging with me, they're asking questions. Then obviously phone call is phone call, very self-explanatory there, right? So again, once they go into the engaged column, then we might send 2 or 3 follow-ups to try and get them onto a phone call. Does that make sense? And then after the phone call, ideally we're going to want a yes or a no on the phone. So at that point, there's not really much follow-up after the call. Like I said, I pretty much have a one-call policy. I schedule enough time on the call for you to get all of your questions answered, and there's not a follow-up call. If you want a second call, then the answer is no to that pretty much most of the time. So they're either going to go into won or lost at this point in time. So that's pretty much it, really. I mean, it's you just want to identify your main stages. So for me, the main stages of getting them through the funnel is you've got to get them to respond to the quick question, you've got to send them the explanation, and then you've got to get them engaged and get them on a phone call. And that's it, really. That's pretty much all there is to it. So you can set these columns up however you want. Like I say, I think in week 3, I believe it is, I'll go through this, and there's a video where we go through this in a little bit more detail, so you can pause it and you can copy it and stuff like that. This does work very well. But all it means is, like, so I've got all of these people in my quick question. So Monday morning, when I log in Monday morning, I just go back and I find each one of these people and I send them a follow-up. So it's like, hey Tom, haven't heard from you, just checking to see you received my last email, right? Then over to here, and then same again over to here. So then over here I can see that this guy's been sent a follow-up already. If he hasn't responded, then I'll send him the final follow-up saying, hey, doesn't appear that you're interested, but if you are interested and you've just been too busy, now's the time to respond. If somebody's been sent an explanation and they've not responded, then I'll follow up. If they have responded to the explanation, then I'll move them to engage and try and get them into a phone call. So that's pretty much it, really. I mean, it's not very complicated at all. You can use a spreadsheet for this. You can use Pipedrive, you can use the Trello. There's a bunch of stuff out there you can use to do it. I just like Pipedrive because I'm a big fan of simplicity, and if I can simplify what I'm doing, then hey, happy days, right? That's the way to do it. So that's it, really. Not much more to it than that. Does that answer your question, Kevin? I mean, if you can just let me know yes or no there, or what clarification you'd like. Yep, answers Kevin's question. So cool. So that's pretty much it for us then. Let me just double check my email here, make sure I've not missed anything from anybody. No, looks like we're all good to go. All questions have been answered. So thank you, Brian. So like I say, hit me up on Sunday if you want to go over the campaign, and we can look at landing pages, stuff like that as well at the same time. Anybody else willing to hit me up, you can hit me up on Monday as well, or Sunday your time. But that's it. So we'll call it a day there. Sorry about last week's recording. The recording became corrupt for some reason with GoToWebinar, so I'm really hoping that this has worked this time. It seems like it's recording, so hopefully we have the recording up within a few hours, and you can refer back to this stuff. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time. I really appreciate what you're doing here. Everybody's getting great results so far, so keep up the good work, and we'll talk next week. Thanks a lot, guys.